Hello everyone, we have done till transcription number 56, also understood various advanced outlines, did the practice of the same along with the commonly used phrases. In today's session, we will understand the short outlines of these words and phrases. We'll do the practice along with the phrases related to the word circumstances. After this explanation part, I'm going to show you the pick of the phrases related to circumstances. You have to practice the same along with these outlines. Then get ready for the dictation of these words with phrases. After that, you have to practice the transcription number 57, 58, 59 and 60 before taking the dictation in the same way as I have explained you in volume 1 in members only videos. To join the membership, you can click the join button which is next to the subscribe button. Then you can take the dictation of these 4 transcriptions with a slight increase in speed, 85 words per minute. And you don't have to take the dictation of all these 4 transcriptions in one go. I recommend take the dictation of first exercise, translate it, and then you can move on to the next one. And for your convenience, I have included timestamps so that you can jump directly to each exercise without manually forwarding the video. For example, अभी आप 57 नंबर एक्सरसाइज की डिक्टेशन लेते हैं, उसे ट्रांसलेट करते हैं. फ्यू आवर्स के बाद या नेक्स्ट डे आपको 58 नंबर एक्सरसाइज की ट्रांसक्रिप्शन की डिक्टेशन लेनी है, तो आपको मैनुअली वीडियो को फॉरवर्ड करके चेक नहीं करना पड़ेगा कि कहां से 58 नंबर एक्सरसाइज स्टार्ट है. मैंने टाइम मेंशन किया है जहां से 58 नंबर एक्सरसाइज स्टार्ट है, so that it will be easy for you. For doubts, you can write in comment box and you can like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel. So let's begin to understand the short outlines of these words and phrases. Withdraw. ये बेसिक आउटलाइन है. वे का स्ट्रोक, दी स्ट्रोक एंड ड्रॉ. इसे हम और क्विक करेंगे विद ड्रॉ. वे का स्ट्रोक बनाया है ऑन दी लाइन और दी स्ट्रोक को डबल कर दिया टू रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए विदड्रॉ वर्ड को. क्लियर है? क्विक हो गई आउटलाइन. विदड्रॉवल है, ये तो बेसिक है. इस तरीके से विदड्रॉ एंड विदड्रॉल. एल स्ट्रोक हमने रिप्रेजेंट किया है. एल स्ट्रोक. दिस इज फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन. बहुत कॉमनली यूज होता है. दिस इज फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन बेसिक है. इसे हम शॉर्ट करेंगे दिस इज. देन इन योर के लिए हमने डाउनवर्ड आर बनाया और फाइनल में यहां इंफॉर्मेशन में शन है, शन को रिप्रेजेंट किया. दिस इज फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन. एटलीस्ट प्रैक्टिस एटलीस्ट वन लाइन. ठीक है. जनरल डिस्कशन इस तरीके से है, इसे हम शॉर्ट करेंगे. जनरल का हमने जे स्ट्रोक लिया, देन कशन, डिस्कशन, सर्कल एस, के स्ट्रोक और फाइनल में शन हुक. जनरल डिस्कशन. ठीक है. अभी हम इसकी प्रैक्टिस कीजिएगा आप, उसके बाद डिक्टेशन होगी जिससे आपको और परफेक्शन आ जाएगी. एंड इन मेंबर्स ओनली वीडियोस वी आर डूइंग द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ द फ्रेजेस एंड द शॉर्ट आउटलाइंस इन वेरियस अदर वेज ऑल्सो. बिलो द पॉवर्टी लाइन, ये तो बेसिक आउटलाइन है. आप एक लॉन्ग लाइन बनाइए, जैसे के स्ट्रोक को डबल करते हैं उस तरीके से बिलो बनाओ, लाइन के बिलो. ये किसको रिप्रेजेंट करेगा? बिलो दी पॉवर्टी लाइन. ठीक है. अर्लियर इस तरीके से है. लेट्स मेक इट मोर क्विक. डाउनवर्ड आर और एल स्ट्रोक को डबल कर दिया अर्लियर वर्ड के लिए. बोथ हाउसेज ऑफ पार्लियामेंट बेसिक है. बोथ हाउसेज ऑफ पार्लियामेंट. लेट्स मेक इट शॉर्ट. बोथ हाउसेज, हाउसेज ऑफ पार्लियामेंट. पार्लियामेंट के लिए को पी स्ट्रोक से रिप्रेजेंट किया है और इंटरसेक्ट किया है. बोथ हाउसेज ऑफ पार्लियामेंट. अंडर रिव्यू. अंडर के लिए इस तरीके से होता है लोगोग्राम. रिव्यू को सिंपल रे स्ट्रोक बनाया इनिशियल का और फाइनल में कौन सी साउंड है? डिप्थोंग साइन यू. साउंड यू है. डिप्थोंग हमने इंटरसेक्ट किया अंडर से. अंडर का हमने लोगोग्राम बनाया. रिव्यू, अंडर रिव्यू. इसी तरीके से मिड टर्म रिव्यू है. एम स्ट्रोक को हाफ और थिक किया है डी के लिए. टर्म और रिव्यू सिंपल रे स्ट्रोक और डिप्थोंग साइन यू को इंटरसेक्ट किया है. वी वुड लाइक टू पॉइंट आउट. वी वुड लाइक को हमने के स्ट्रोक से किया. पॉइंट आउट को सिंपल पी स्ट्रोक लिया है और फाइनल में यहां पे कौन सी साउंड है? डिप्थोंग साइन साउंड ओ डब्ल्यू. We would like to point out. In this connection, I would like to point out that. Long phrase है, short करेंगे. In this, in का stroke बनाया, this को circle S से किया, then कन, कन, के stroke and hook बनाया और connection, फिर के stroke को double कर दिया हमने और point out के लिए simple. इस सबको P का stroke हमने intersect किया और you can put this, diphthong sign OW. ठीक है. In this connection, I would like to point out that. That हमें clear हो जाएगा. In this connection, I would like to point out that के लिए. ठीक है. Land Revenue Reforms Committee. Land लैंड रेवेन्यू, रेवेन्यू को रे स्ट्रोक से रिप्रेजेंट किया है, रिफॉर्म्स आउटलाइन से डिसजॉइन रखा है, रे स्ट्रोक और फाइनल में सर्कल एस और कमिटी को टी स्ट्रोक से इंटरसेक्ट किया है। इजी है। अभी आपको इजी लग रहा है, इसकी आप प्रैक्टिस कीजिए 1 लाइन और 2 लाइन, फिर मैं इसकी डिक्टेशन दूंगी। वी आर ऑफ द व्यू हमने प्रीवियस वीडियोस में समझा था, वी आर ऑफ द व्यू। यहाँ व्यू को हमने डिप्थोंग साउंड यू से रिप्रेजेंट किया था, डिप्थोंग साइन से। अब आई एम ऑफ द व्यू है, आई एम ऑफ द व्यू। सिंपल, क्लियर है? गेट रेडी फॉर द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ दीज आउटलाइंस। Hope you have done the practice of these words, and these are the phrases related to the word circumstances. Practice them also, and in certain phrases there are more than one outline. I suggest choose the shortest outline, and after done with the practice, get ready for the dictation. Let's begin the dictation. Adverse circumstances. Withdraw. I am of the view. All the circumstances. Withdrawal. We are of the view. Such circumstances. Auspicious circumstances. Both houses of parliament. Land Revenue Reforms Committee. Auspicious circumstances. Suspicious circumstances. In this connection, I would like to point out that special circumstances, every circumstances, midterm review, below the poverty line, favorable circumstances, present circumstances, earlier, peculiar circumstances, general discussion. This is for your information. We would like to point out in the circumstances, in these circumstances, in the present circumstances, in any circumstances, in those circumstances, in all circumstances, special circumstances, withdraw, midterm review. In this connection, I would like to point out that I am of the view. Suspicious circumstances, unforeseen circumstances. Under the present circumstances, under these circumstances, under all circumstances, under those circumstances, every circumstances, in the circumstances, all the circumstances. Stop, translate and check, and get ready for the dictation of transcription number 57. The speed will be 85 words per minute. First of all, I would like to thank the members of this house, all those who have spoken, and all those who have even moved, cut motions for the interest that they have evinced for the cause of health. I agree entirely with so many friends who have said that far too little time is given to this house for discussion and exchange of views on a subject which is so vital to the progress of the country. It is undoubtedly a nation building activity to cater to the health of the people committed to the charge of any government, and if we are not able to give enough attention to these problems, and if we are not able to give enough money to improve the standards of health, I am, of course, convinced that we shall not really make the progress that we want this country to make. I am, however, heartened by the fact that the countryside is health conscious. Anywhere that I go, the two things that the villager demands are medical aid and relief and schools for his children. And I believe that anything the people, the masses demand will certainly come about. I would like to comment on the points that have been raised by the various speakers. First of all, everybody has welcomed the malaria control program. I am very happy to be able to say that at the end of the 8th 5-year plan, we shall have covered 125 millions of the population from the risk of malaria, and I sincerely hope that by the end of the 9th 5-year plan, practically the entire country will have been covered, and that certainly means a tremendous asset to the nation, because those poor people who used to be let out for 4 months in a year with malaria will now be able to help in the production, which is so vitally needed for progress. Then a comment has been made on the community projects. I think I ought to say that I have, from the very beginning, ever since I was charged with serving the Ministry of Health, laid the greatest emphasis on medical aid and relief to the rural population in particular, because they have been sadly neglected up to date. I think it is impossible for a long time to come to give all hospital facilities for people. The first thing, therefore, that I took up was maternal and child welfare, and I am glad to be able to say that a great deal of progress has been made in maternal and child welfare. These centers have increased enormously. While I agree entirely with my friend that we have not, of course, got enough health centers in rural areas or enough personnel, I think the creation of the personnel, the creation of the health centers, the creation of the maternity and child welfare centers is going ahead with a fair amount of speed. I was delighted when I went the other day to Bhopal to see in the remotest villages that the villagers themselves have built up maternity and child welfare centers, and government have put qualified women to look after them. The care of the child is certainly our greatest responsibility, and the fact that the death rate per thousand of the estimated population has decreased during these last 7 years speaks, I think, in evidence of the fact that infant and maternal care is now receiving the care that it merits. I hope that in these community project areas, in the secondary health centers, which I would like to come into the National Extension Service blocks, still further care will be given to maternal and child needs so that we may be able to serve this part of the population better than we have done so far. A sum of rupees 50 lakhs has been given by the center especially for maternity and child welfare in the backward areas. Another sum of rupees 50 lakhs is being offered to the states, again from the center apart from what the planning commission is doing for this vital work. Of course, health is a state subject. Many things that have been said by way of criticism leveled at me should really be leveled at the state governments. I have stated very clearly in the preamble to this report what the Central Ministry of Health is responsible for. I hope that honorable members of this House who have perused this report with the care that it merits will be able to give the Central Ministry of Health a certificate that in all the subjects that are under their care, this ministry has not been at all negligent. I know no one is more dissatisfied than I myself at the slow progress that we have made in the matter of provision of health services to the people. But with the limited resources at our disposal, I claim that we have made the most of what has been given to us. Stop, translate, and check from the screen. Get ready for the another one. Transcription number 58. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, before I say anything about defense, I would like to congratulate the Home Ministry on the splendid work it has done in connection with the improvement of the conditions of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. The present Home Minister and his ministry are not spending money on good schemes as used to be done in the past. They have got very many schemes, and those schemes are really worth spending lot of money. They are really for the benefit of these communities. I was going to ask the Home Ministry to set up a separate fund for the construction of houses for these communities, since the ministry concerned with housing had completely neglected this problem which is facing these communities. Even the Planning Commission in the last 5-year plan has not done much in this regard. I think even the 10th 5-year plan, there is no definite plan for providing housing facilities for the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. But since the housing minister has promised that he is going to constitute a board to go into these things, I do not think there is any need for me to stress this point anymore. About the board which is going to be constituted, I would definitely like to say a few words. This board, I believe, is going to consist of some members of the Harijan community and also a number of members belonging to non-Harijan communities. In any case, I would very much like that this board, which will of course function under the Home Ministry, should have as its chairman a non-Harijan. I want to stress this point because I know that in some of the states where the portfolio of Harijan welfare is given to a Harijan minister, he is not able to do his work properly. It is not because he cannot do it. It is not that he is not efficient enough to do it, but because every time he speaks about the welfare of scheduled castes and measures to be taken to improve their conditions, he is generally looked down by the other members of the cabinet as a communalist. If the same thing is done by a member belonging to a non Harijan community, he will be considered to be doing a national service. Therefore, the chairmanship should go to a non Harijan. The 10th 5-year plan, I understand, is going to be an industrial plan. Many industries are going to be established in this country. Therefore, I feel it my duty to say that the ministries concerned with heavy industries should take proper care in setting up new industries in places which are not very well developed. For instance, if a heavy industry is set up only in one state, all the ancillary factories crop up in that particular state and the benefits are derived only by the people of that state. Even in the case of employment in those factories, it is always observed that the people belonging to that particular state get the preference and the people belonging to other stages do not get any benefit out of it. Therefore, the ministry should take proper care to see that these heavy industries are located in such places that they cater not only to one particular state but can also cater to more than one state. For instance, if a factory is located in the center of a state, the benefits of it will be derived only by the people of that particular state. There is a factory in Chennai, the Parambar coach factory, which is producing coaches, that is located in the heart of the city of Chennai. It cannot help the people of either Andhra or Kerala. If the same factory were to be located on the borders, there may be so many ancillary industries, feeder industries in Andhra or in Kerala. Because it is located in the heart of the city of Chennai, only the people of that state could make any profit out of it. Therefore, I appeal to the ministry concerned to take proper steps to locate the future industries in such places so that they could be of help not only to one state but be of help to more than one state. In Hyderabad, there is a place which produces thermal power, but there are no industries to make use of that power. Repeated requests have been made by the government of Hyderabad, but the ministry at the center is not at all taking any notice of it. I think if a factory to produce electrical goods or a small fertilizer factory or a small engineering factory were to be located at that particular place, that will be able to cater not only to the Hyderabad state but also to Andhra and other places as well. Therefore, it is necessary that steps should be taken to see that heavy industries are located not in one particular state but on the borders of states. Stop, translate, and check. Get ready for the another one. Transcription number 59. Under the 12th 5-year plan, the government want to start junior technical institutes, but so far the education department is not in a position to know what type of junior technical institutes are going to be established in the country. Every time we ask the education department to furnish us with details of their schemes, the reply we get from the education ministry is that some officer of the department has been sent abroad to study this question, and only when he returns from abroad will they be able to finalize the thing. An officer of the education department has been sent to study these institutions in France. I think he must have spent 4 or 5 months in France. But the reply that the Education Ministry has given is that he could not study the entire scheme and he wants some other officer to be deputed to study. As I said before, under the 12th 5-year plan, we are to start junior technical institutes, but so far the education department is not in a position to give even the correct information to those private agencies which are there ready to start these schools. Therefore, I request the education department not to sleep over things but to take very active steps in collecting the necessary information and in helping the private agencies who want to start these institutes in this country. I know my people are suffering because they have been given a very defective type of education. Today, we have to depend upon the reservations. Whenever any vacancy occurs in a department, that vacancy, even if it is reserved, is not filled by a scheduled caste man. Naturally, this type of education will not help a candidate to choose any other profession except to depend upon government establishments. Therefore, it is necessary at least to see that the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, and the tribal people do not depend upon the reserved services. They must be given technical education. For that, the education department will have to spend enormous money. I do not want government to simply waste money in propaganda against untouchability. This is a real step which would definitely improve the conditions and make the scheduled castes to be independent, that is, without being dependent upon government services. Therefore, I would like the Home Ministry to give special directives to all the state governments. I know in some of the states they have started special schools when they felt the need, because in many of the other institutions the scheduled castes were not allowed in those days. At that time, there were many states which had started special schools to cater to the needs of the scheduled castes. Now, when the government is not able to give the reserved vacancies to them, it is very necessary that these technical schools should be started so that the scheduled castes can be made independent and can prosper in this country. I join my friend in expressing satisfaction at the fact that the national income has recorded an increase of 18%, perhaps 7% more than the estimated increase, but I do not find evidence of this in any appreciable increase in the standard of living in the villages. I should like to know from the finance minister if this increase in national income is reflected in the general living of the people. Have they tried to find it out either by any sample survey or by any other method? We should know whether the benefit has reached the common man. As far as I am concerned, my own experience is that unemployment in the rural areas continues to be as high as it was before, if it has not recorded any increase. One way by which we can gauge this is by the number of persons crowding round public servants or public man for some sort of recommendations to secure jobs. In urban areas, the extent of unemployment is judged by the registrations in the employment exchanges. I do not suppose there is any such device for the rural areas, and I think our experience can be depended upon to some extent for finding out the extent of unemployment. This leads me to feel that even though there is an increase in national wealth, the benefit is not going to the common man. Therefore, I feel that we should bring about a very drastic change in the property relations. If we are really keen on realizing the socialistic pattern of society, the sooner we change the property relation, the better. I believe the proportion in which the accumulated wealth of the nation is held by certain classes determines the pattern of production to a considerable extent. The pattern of production determines the pattern of distribution. We cannot, therefore, secure distributive justice unless and until there is a change in property relations. We have, therefore, abolished the sanctity attached to the properties, and we have made compensation payable to those who are expropriated non justiciable. Stop, translate, and check. Get ready for the another one. Transcription number 60. During the last general elections, the government found, on careful consideration, that it would not have been possible to provide such facilities without rousing criticism of unfairness and partiality from one group or the other. However, after the elections, the government have given careful thought to the matter. Practices prevailing in other democratic countries have also been studied and compared. It is well to remember that examples of other countries that can be cited in this behalf are not uniform and are based on conditions which differ radically in many important respects from country to country. The practical aspect of the question has also great importance. The area of the country, the form of government, federal or unitary, and the number of parties involved all are factors which have been kept in mind by various countries in taking a decision. In USA, where broadcasting is run by private enterprise, though certain principles of equal opportunity have been laid down by the Federal Communications Commission, in practice it is a rare occurrence because time has to be purchased and a great deal of bickering and dissatisfaction always exists. In Great Britain, only since war opportunities have been provided for a few election broadcasts, the allotment of time being subject to the strength of the parties and other practical considerations. In countries like Switzerland, no time is permitted for election purpose on the radio, while in France it is given, though the time allotted is extremely short, 5 minutes or less. It is clear from a study of foreign practices that each country has taken the conditions prevailing there and also the number of parties and other factors into consideration. The analogy of other countries, therefore, is of not much validity in coming to any conclusion as far as India is concerned, taking into consideration the conditions prevailing in our country. The government feel that it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to make satisfactory arrangements for giving such facilities to all political parties. Besides the points mentioned above, another important factor has to be considered. In other countries, for national broadcasting, only one language is used, and that too only in national elections. The exception is Switzerland, where there are three languages, that it is one of the important reasons that Switzerland does not permit the use of the national radio for election purposes and even for commercial purposes. In India, we are confronted with the task of providing facilities in 12 languages besides English, and they would be asked to give equal facilities from stations of All India Radio, which are 26 in number. Moreover, in working out any practical formula, it has to be remembered that the number of parties which will have to be provided with these facilities comes to nearly 26. The apportionment of time between the various political parties and at different stations of the air would be a task of extreme difficulty and is bound to lead to criticism and partiality. The determination of the principle for purposes of allocation of time will also lead to much controversy. Language stations of regional centers of AIR might have to cater to a large number of parties and provide them with time for broadcast in at least 2 to 3 languages and sometimes more. Apportionment of time is made in different countries in different manners, some doing it on the number of votes polled, others on the number of candidates put up by parties. We feel that any such apportionment would result in recriminations and criticism of government. On the other hand, if all parties have to be provided with equal time, the normal activities of the AIR stations will have to be drastically curtailed during the election time. The proposal to provide broadcasting time in a fair and reasonable manner therefore seems almost insoluble in practice. In view of these practical considerations, government have come to the conclusion that it would not be possible to allow political parties generally to utilize the facilities of the radio for election purposes. However, government feel that an experiment permitting such utilization on a restricted scale might be tried in order to see whether such facilities can be used for specific election purposes without taking a major part of the time of the radio and also without leading to a charge of discrimination or partiality. It has been decided that the four All India parties recognized by the Election Commission might be allowed the facility of supplying a summary of their election manifestos prepared by themselves, which will be broadcast by AIR subject to usual rules. Such summarizes might not exceed 10 minutes and will be broadcast in English and in all the regional languages of the country. If this opportunity is allowed at least to the leading political parties of the country, it will surely further strengthen the system of democratic government in the country and will provide healthy and fair conditions for fighting the general elections. Stop, translate, and check from the screen.